fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rid of the outside of both of them. Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my God! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go.
Oh no!
That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?
Hello and welcome to round one, series one of the Shannons NTESERIES, or the Dry Series Cup. Tonight here at Brands Hatch, we've switched series from the Shannons Insurance Supercar TCR. We're now switching over into the Porsche 992, a 5-round, 10-week fixed championship, which is going to be great to see. We haven't seen the guys in these cars yet before. But joining me in the commentary box tonight, we have Hayden McMahon, and on the cameras and keeping us all in check and directing where things are going, Jay Kennedy from SimSpeed TV. And Hayden, mate, it's great to have you on board for this championship, and looking forward to this one.
Yeah, thanks for the invite here, Dan. It's going to be a great night here of some very exciting racing. We've got a good variety of skill levels and experiences out there, so it's going to make for some really great competition.
Absolutely. It's going to be very interesting to see how we go. We'll have a quick look at the track map tonight. As I say, we're at Brands Hatch, which is a little bit of a goat track, effectively, for the Porsches to get around. 3.16 kilometres or 2.4 miles in the old language out in Kent, England. And it's a very tricky little circuit tonight, which we're going to see the Porsches really need to, and then the drivers, find their spots to get the most out of this circuit. Probably some of the technical spots that we'll need to keep an eye on, especially off the starting line tonight, will be the run down in through Paddock Hill, big drop off with plenty of gravel on the outside, and lots of overtaking up through Druids, down into Hawthorne, and we might see some late lunges down there at the back end in Stirling. Hayden, from yourself, mate, where are a couple of points that we might need to see the drivers keeping an eye on?
Yeah, Druids is going to be that heavy braking point for the hairpin. There is always an entertaining place to try to race, and also the entry to the pit lane at this circuit is quite an interesting spot as well. So it'll be good to watch as the drivers dart for the pit lane, what everybody around them actually tries to do to get around.
Absolutely, and I mean, it's a good point probably to make a bit of information on the pit lane tonight. It's going to be a unique one for the series. It's 2 rounds tonight. They're running the heat format in iRacing, and interestingly, we're going to have the drivers have to compete one compulsory pit stop over the course of the event, whether it be race 1, race 2, which is really going to spice up the way the finishing positions come through with the drivers needing to make those stops.
Absolutely, and it throws a lot of strategy into it as well. If you know your race is well and truly done and dusted in race 1, you get that pit stop out of the way and you focus in for race 2. But it also brings that thing of where exactly do you want to end up here? How do you plan to use that compulsory pit stop to your best advantage or your least disadvantage?
Absolutely, and as you can see up on screen at the moment for tonight, we've got 2 25-minute races. As we're saying, the drivers must pit in at least one of those. 2 tyres required to go on the cars, and we'll have a single 15-minute qualifying, which we're not too far away from switching over. We'll get into that in about 7 minutes here to set the grid for the first time out. But mate, looking through through practice at the moment, we've seen some very competitive lap times from the guys out in front at the moment. Jack Whittis currently sets the pace on a 1:23.81. He's only got himself a tenth of a second ahead of Giovanni Luzzi, and then Tyson Broad not that far behind, only a couple, about 4/10 of a second behind there in third position.
Yeah, and it's probably a great time to touch on some of these guys who have been here a while and have been running your guys' championships for a little while, and where they stack up, and some of the new competitors coming in as well, Dan.
Absolutely. I mean, we've got a very stacked field here tonight. 40-something drivers have entered in for this one, and when you think of how short and small this circuit is, it's going to be hard to find that bit of space. But the quick guys out there that we really need to keep an eye on is our last season's Shannons NTESERIES defending champion, Jack Whittis. As we say, currently setting the way out front for him there. Tyson Broad, another very quick competitor. The likes of Rob Crisdale, Paul Mansell, also very competitive in pretty much any car they turn their attention to. We saw them very competitive in both the supercars and TCRs in the Shannons series. Is there anyone for yourself, mate, that's stood out?
Yeah, just from watching the practicing, Widdus is definitely going to be at the pointy end here. It's going to be interesting watching as they go into the very first corner off of that manual rolling start. How polite these guys be, because things happen very quickly in sim racing.
Absolutely, they do. And I mean, for anyone keeping an eye on the Le Mans 24 Hour, we saw that only an hour ago with the Corvette getting out in that one, unfortunately. So it happens quickly in the real world, happens even faster here in the sim world. We're just having a look at a few of the guys just completing their practice runs here at the moment. Rob Crisdale up on screen there at the moment. Keep an eye out for the kangaroo on the side of that car, but he's looking all right here at the moment, down in 9th position, quickest time of 1:24.76. Definitely expect him to go a little bit quicker when we get into qualifying. The guys will trim these cars out and just go hammer and time to see what they can do. But the off tracks will be an interesting one to keep an eye on, as you need to use all the circuit and then some to set yourself a quick time around here.
Absolutely. Brands Hatch is a very interesting circuit where there is just not a lot of room between a perfect lap and absolute disaster.
Exactly, and we'll keep an eye on that. We'll wait to see how that one all unfolds. That just on the series notes as well, we must say a big thank you to the series sponsors who have come on board to support the inaugural Dry Series Championship, and that is Shannons Insurance, Roadrunner Logistics, who take care of a lot of concreting, asphalts, haulage and material cartings, along with the Breaking Late podcast, who do a fantastic job doing a round recap. We've seen them have a chat with some of the drivers in the series, get their takes on how their events have gone, and also a big shout out to SimSpeed, who have come on board to deliver the video and streaming for this particular championship. So big thanks to all those guys. And the other thing, and we might see if we can bring it up quickly too, just before we switch over into qualifying, is the round schedule coming up. Hayden, it's a great run of circuits that we've got to get through. Obviously, Brands Hatch tonight. And then we move off. We're off to Montreal, which will be a nice fast-flowing circuit for the Porsches. Very different to what we're seeing here tonight. Off to Barcelona for round 3, July 10. Into Lagos, round 4. And then the twisty streets of Belle Isle, which they can make a grown man cry.
It's great to see a good variety of circuits here. So there's nothing there that really stands out as a common theme between all of these tracks. It's going to put a great test to all of these guys. And the person who comes out on top after 5 rounds is definitely going to have earned it.
For sure. And as you can see there, times of the dates up on the left of screen there, and a 2-week gap between each event. So plenty of time for the drivers to really knuckle in and get their heads wrapped around that circuit and get themselves up to the sharp end of the field. We're just about to... looks like we're still a couple of minutes out from our qualifying, so we'll wait to see how that goes. But Jack Widdus there, currently up at the pointy end, and I think he's going to be a really strong competitor to see. Guy Leach there down in 4th position. He's not that far off the pace and should be able to come through. Now, Hayden, have you had much time in the Porsche at all?
No, not a lot. It's still something I want to get around a bit more so I can really understand what these guys are sort of battling with here. But I suppose Jack, of everybody out there, should know these cars better than anybody, being a mechanic on Carrera Cup cars in real life. Am I right about that, Dan?
Look, I believe so. You might have us there. So he knows a thing or two about getting the most out of these cars. And I think we're starting to see the fruits of that labour really shine through here. And he's definitely going to have the target painted on the back early on. So we'll keep an eye on that one. Qualifying, what are we likely to expect from the guys here? Obviously, a lot of guys will look to trim the fuel numbers out on the cars, try and get the most pace. But it is a fixed setup, so a little bit limited in what they can and can't do.
And that's good too, it puts everybody in exactly the same position. Everybody's on an even playing field. You all go out there the same car, which you see a bit of a sideways incident there. So it should really just bring out the person who can make the most of that fixed setup and who can really set themselves up for a flying qualifying lap is going to be the person to watch. Who would you be backing in, Dan?
Look, there's so many good guys out there. It's hard to sort of pick a clear favourite. I think the likes of your guy Leach, Paul Mansell, definitely can wring the necks out of these cars. We're already seeing it from Jack there, and I'm sure we're going to give him plenty of mention as this championship continues to go on. But we might see a few surprise ones. Ray Oliver, still very talented, or very quick in these cars at least. He's currently sitting there down in 15th, so we might see him work his way up as the fuel loads come out in qualifying. But it's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be all about finding the pace, or the clear track out on circuit and making the most of it when you can. We've got 15 seconds here just left, and only a handful of cars out on circuit at the moment. Looks like we've got Zach Smith out there, John Brayshaw, Nathan Norman. He could be another one. There's a bit of a surprise there. He had a really good NT series run as well. Dylan Sykes, not too bad there, down in 18th. And the checkered flag there, we just get a look at him just having a wave. And that'll get us ready for qualifying, which is going to be an interesting one. 15 minutes, as we say. All the drivers out on circuit trying to make the most of what they can do. And hey, if you're a betting man, do you want to go out early, try and get ahead of the pack, or do you wait for everyone to try and get a little bit along before you get yourself out into the lane?
I'm well and truly somebody who likes to just go about my own business and get it done, get it out of the way, and sit back in the pits and let the rest of the guys figure it out. I'm not someone who wants to see the times and feel the pressure. I'm someone who wants to get the job done, go back to the pits and relax.
Yeah, we'll just have a look here. All the guys now streaming out on the track proper just to get themselves warmed up and ready to go. We've got still quite a few drivers that have elected to start a little bit further down the order. Another couple just dropping their way through. And I think we're going to see some great times, although a bit of a mozza there. Who was that? That was the 515 fighting the railings on the inside, so that'll be a
like John Van Ree.
Well, we got something to give him a bit of stick for later on.
And something that's interesting here is we have so many guys out on their first ever NTE series event here. So all the regulars don't know these guys necessarily. They don't know their racing style. They don't know what they're about. They don't know how they behave on track. And that's going to be something that really plays into tonight here, Dan.
Well, it certainly will. I mean, when you come across a lot of new drivers, especially if you're not familiar with them, you don't know how much you can lean on them, where your opportunities lie as far as getting a pass done. Are they going to be a little bit twitchy under brakes? It makes it very tricky to work your way around. So I'm sure the guys, after one or two round races, especially tonight, they should be able to work out who they can and can't lean on and set themselves up. We're just having a look here now at the number 69, and we've got the onboard shot there, the helmet and all. He's kitted up, ready to go, and we'll see what he's able to do in this car as he works his way down through Sterling's there, set up for a lap. Looks like just letting a few cars go through, and it's a brave man in the helmet. He's really trying to bring that realism right back into it.
He's certainly very safe there in his living room. I got to wonder if the visor and the helmet and all of that is actually a bit of a distraction, a bit of a detriment, but we'll see it from Tyrone Anderson here. He looks like he's setting up for a fly, so we'll stay on board with him, and he doesn't look happy.
No, well, the hands are up. He's not a happy camper as he works his way down through one. We'll see whether he continues on with this lap, but might have been a bit of an interference there, but going to get underway here. We might have a look through the lap here. It's a bit of a technical one for the guys. Plenty of undulation, as we said early on, and a lot of room for them to run these cars out wide. You can see down through turn 5 there, running turn 4, sorry, going very, very wide. And this corner right here, very tricky, late apex. Really need to find your spot there in order to get the best run and set yourself up for a pass later on in the lap. So we'll see how it goes. Getting the hands all sorted here, and pretty stable looking race car at the moment.
Absolutely. He's not really working very hard there. He's just feathering it through. It's going to be interesting watching just how much these guys throw themselves into these qualifying laps.
Absolutely. We're starting to see the times now light up on the boards there. Jack Whittis, quickest car at the moment. Tyrone Anderson have a big moment there, runs it off wide. That's going to null and void his lap, and he'll need to reset again. But at the moment, Whittis sets the pace for the field, 1:24.56. Only 0.02 of a second slower is Maverick Benson. That's a new name to the series. Haven't heard much from him, but he's right up on pace. Guy Leach also in and amongst it as well, currently sitting third there on a 1:24.69. But that is the first lap out. We've still got 11 and a bit minutes on the clock here. I'm expecting those times to drop down a little bit further. We saw them in the 1:23s through practice, and definitely a chance for the guys to work their way back in.
Absolutely. As we watch Bradley Minshall here coming up to the line, what do we know about him, Dan? What's the story with Bradley?
Well, I'm going to thank you for the hospital pass. I don't know a lot, but look, he's only here to race safely, so he is a returning driver back into the series, which is great to see. But just wants to get his way through and not have too many issues, which is I think that's the same common thread for all the drivers. No issues really wanted. You want to get on and race hard and clean and get yourself the best run here. As you have a look at the 334 Ash Barella, who is a bit of a series veteran now, and he's on a pretty good run here at the moment. Looks like he's setting himself up final corner. We'll see how he manages to get through, and we'll check out the time as he works his way up and across the line.
We're watching those times on the left of our screen there, and Jack Widas is really sort of putting his stamp on it. But we do have a lot of tight times there as well, Dan.
Yeah, we certainly do. I mean, there's not much in it between all the guys here. If we look between Jack Widas currently and 10th position, which is currently in the being held there by John Bradshaw, it's only half a second separating our top 10. So very quick times going through. That being said, Gianni Lutzi just manages to pip Widas there. He's set himself a 1:24.31. So they're knocking on the door of the 23s here at the moment, and definitely going to be a very quick contender. Gianni, relatively new to the series as well. We don't know a lot of, or too much from him, mate, but so far, he's doing a really solid job in this car.
And that's the great thing about having so many new drivers in here. Someone that comes in and just straight to the top of the table like that and really upset the apple cart. It's going to be good to see how everybody responds to these new competitors getting out there, setting times like that, and really muscling their way in.
For sure it will. And I think it's good because it'll really, and we've seen it in other series as well, the new guys tend to push the more established drivers that little bit harder and really make them work for those positions. So we'll definitely see the likes of Gianni really start to push these guys. And we're having a look a little further back. This is 662 making the lap around. We've got the pedal cam on board. Justin McLean, we'll see what he's able to do as he gets across the line here. It was 1:25.05 for him last time by. A little slower there, 1:28. I think that might have just been the outlap for him there. So he'll reset, and they're using all the track off turn one there up in towards Druids.
They use every single centimetre all the way around here in Brands Hatch, and it is high risk, as we just see here with Chris Mitchell. It is a high risk sort of circuit. You need to take every millimetre, or you just won't be right up the pointy end.
Well, not only is it that, it's also a very, you got to be committed to the line, and we just see there, just running at that fraction wide, picks up the dirt, loses the back end. Now that will be an abort of this lap, and hopefully no damage on the car, and he's able to re-go, but there are some quick guys starting to bear down on him as well. Jack Widas hasn't yet responded to Gianni last time through for him.
Had a crack. He's definitely tried. He's only 10,000th off there, so he's put in a really solid lap, but just not quite enough.
No, but that's, look, he made me eat my words there for a second, but look, if he's up the front, getting off from there is probably not going to be a bad thing. It's a good run through turn one and plenty to go. A little further back in the field might be a bit tricky as we have a look at Neil Woodburn currently sitting down the order. We'll see what he's able to do as he gets across the line. It was 1:26.2 for him last time through, 1:25.9. So a pretty decent improvement there, and that will move him up the field just a bit further.
Absolutely. We've still got over 6 minutes left here in qualifying. There's still plenty of time for these guys to put together that perfect lap, because it is definitely a position. Oh, and then we see another big moment there. It's definitely a position-based sort of track. You want track position here. You want a good qualifying situation, because trying to get through this field is going to be very challenging on this circuit.
For sure. And I think if you're a little further back, and we'll touch back on the pit stop strategy as well, I wouldn't mind betting that the guys probably from that back half of the field in the first one will definitely be trying to jump in the lane and knock that stop out of the way, set themselves up for a good return through into race two. But that in mind, it is a carryover. The finishing results from race one will set the grid when we get into race two there. So we'll keep an eye on how that plays through. Cam Edwards having a pretty good run. It was 125.6 for him down in 11th position. And he's got a little bit of work to do there as he works his way up through the field. So we'll keep an eye on this one. A bit of traffic ahead. Doesn't look like it'll impact him too much. And heads towards that final corner there. We'll keep an eye on how the braking situation is. And that's a pretty strong exit on the end there.
Yep, tidy, very tidy. And he's looking pretty good here for a decent lap across the line. And he has done well there, 125.6. Not a bad lap.
No, that will move him nicely up the order there. Sets him in 19th position at the moment. So a little bit of work for him to do to get up there, but definitely one to keep a lookout for. Another driver we might have a look at as we just watch Jack Whittis get on start board for his lap. Ray Oliver also down there in 7th position. He set the fastest sector 5 last time around as well. So he's found something there that works quite nicely for him. This is the start of his next lap. We'll see what he's able to do. 124.8 for him at the moment. A little further down probably than where he wants to be in 7th position, but one of those drivers sort of picked early on that will definitely work his way through. Back to Whittis now, flying through and still on the pace for what should be a good lap. Only a 100th of a second between himself and Luxie there in 1st and 2nd qualifying. Mitchell a little bit further back, 2.5 tenths. And then we're back to Tyson Broad, Maverick Benson, a little further behind. But it's a good top 5 so far for the guys.
Absolutely, and we're on board with Whittis here, as he looks like he's pulled out of this lap. And he's setting up for the next to be a fly by the look of things there, Dan.
Yeah, I wonder if it was just run it a fraction wide there, and iRacing very tricky with the off tracks through this circuit here. You run that fraction too wide, null and voids the lap. And you got to do it all over again. Thankfully, it was right at the end there, but he'll get on and see how he goes. Ray Oliver across the line. Improved marginally. Oh, actually, no, didn't quite improve on that lap. It was a 25 for him, and his best of a 24 going around. Paul Mansell, on the other hand, did move further forward. Just set himself a 124.85. That now brings him up into 8th position, only 2 spots back from his teammate Guy Leach there.
And as we look down the actual field here, the top 16 races, only a second between them, Dan. That's actually a really tight grid, and it's going to make for some fantastic racing.
For sure it will, yeah. I mean, we saw last season when the guys were switching between both the TCR and the supercar for the Shannons NTE series, the field times were very, very competitive. And I guess the tricky thing for those guys is we have a Porsche just looping around on the start through straight. Didn't collect anyone, thankfully. But we saw last season it was a big learning curve for the guys switching between the 2 cars on the race night. Obviously, the front-wheel drive, front-engined TCR to the rear-wheel drive supercar, a big difference. But now we've stuck everything in the rear. We've got the rear-mounted rear-wheel drive Porsche. It's a bit of a pendulum effect in this car, but the guys are really starting to find what they need to get the most out of it. And I think by round 5, where we've already knocked over 8 races, they're going to be very, very competitive.
Absolutely, Dan. And have you got much time in this Porsche yourself?
Look, I've done a few laps. I don't think any of the teams would hire me. My own team doesn't want to hire me to drive it. But look, I really like it. Having seen what the former Cup car was like, it was a very tricky car to get your head around. The new 992 is a really nice piece of kit. And I think a really good step up. Obviously, Porsche, if we switch out to real world, have really started to adopt a lot of the GT3, GTE style suspension layouts in this new car, which for a driver that wants to progress through, and if we roll back to sim racing, it's a good chance to start in a GT car in the Porsche and then transition yourself up maybe to the GT3 aspect, the GT3R. And I know GTE is being retired, but move across to the GTE, which is another great looking and driving car as well. So it's a lot of fun. The dash layout is phenomenal in it. And I mean, it's a Porsche. The sound is the best thing out there.
Absolutely. And we were on board there with Jared Burns for a minute. We had a good view of his whole triple screen setup, his RGB keyboards, the whole lot. These guys have some pretty impressive gear here, Dan.
Absolutely. I mean, you can spend an arm and a leg on it, or you can have a very simple bit of kit. And you got to customize it all to make the most for yourself, and we've seen that with a lot of the guys. We've got obviously the triple screens out there. We'll check him out later on. The Filthy Mo, Michael Gore, as well. Actually, right on cue, we've got him up. In another driver that's in VR. So
fantastic! Isn't that a look? That is absolutely fantastic. The VR, the mustache, and the original Mo sticker on the wheel there. I'm hoping for good things here from Mr. Gore.
Oh, mate, you'll see the Filthy Mo up there as he goes. But look, I mean, if you have a look at his setup as well, got the wind generators on the side there to keep him cool, keep that mustache in check, and another driver that's obviously VR ready, not just sticking with the triple screens. And the amount of customization you can do within your sim racing these days is pretty phenomenal here. As we have a look now, Gianni Luzzi going to get across for another lap. This might actually give him opportunity to set another one if he can break the beams in time.
He might make it. He's going to make it.
24.09.
He has stamped it.
That is a great lap to finish out the session.
That makes a statement. That really does. He's 0.3 quicker than anybody else out there, Dan.
Yeah, really, really strong run for him. As we get the guys up on the grid here, we'll quickly jump through the starting order so we can check out where all the drivers are going to be taking the round one positions. Gianni Luzzi, as we said, pole position 124.04. Jack Widdis will line up alongside him. In second position, row 2, Tyson Broad and Chris Mitchell. Row 3, we'll see Guy Leach and Maverick Benson. A little further back, row 4, Paul Mansell, just behind his teammate there. Zach Witt-Smith alongside him there on the inside. Ray Oliver leading off row 5 along with Justin McLean, Jacob Brewer and Rob Crisdale rounding out row 6. Row 7, John Bradshaw, Nathan Norman, Jared Burns and Kevin Norman. So the Norman brothers riding behind each other. Tim Nicol and Jack Swanpole in row 9 there. Row 10, we'll see Josh Barry alongside Michael Hakitis, Dylan Powell and Dylan Saints in row 11, Alex Botcher and Cameron Edwards off row 12. Row 13, Neil Woodburn and Cooper Dunn. Row 14, Peter Benecki and Josh Drage. Row 15, Filthy Mo, Michael Gore and John Van Ree. Moving over to row 16, we've got James Zeitz and Bradley Mitchell, Matthew McCullen and Ash Barella, Shane Newens and Rob Thomas in row 18. And if we roll down to the back of the grid, we've got Rich Barella and Brendan McMullen. Tyson Anderson will be in row 20. And of course, our race control and course car will be underway. Now, the interesting one here, it'll be a rolling start for the guys. So when the lights go green, it won't be the official start of the race. We'll see the Aston Martin GT4 come out, take the lead of the race, and we'll roll the field through. That's a bit of a different one for these guys now.
And it's something the guys aren't necessarily going to be used to. So it's definitely a bit of an extra aspect there. They've got to, be in manual control of the vehicle, keep things clean as we set the race up, and we'll be under the control of the course car here, Dan.
Absolutely, it's going to be interesting to see. I think it'll be really good for the guys to get the rolling start. And I mean, it wouldn't be a Porsche series if they weren't going off on the rolling course there. So we've got the Aston Martin GT4 now out on circuit. And we will see the field just start to roll away and line up just in behind there. Let's remind everyone, 25-minute race for all tonight. One mandatory pit stop across either race 1 or race 2 at the driver's discretion. 2 tyres must go on. And then your finishing order, race 1, set the grid for race 2.
Absolutely. As we watch these guys start on their setup lap, it's going to be very interesting to watch exactly how this manual rolling start launch happens. Are they going to try to give themselves some distance? Are they going to be right up underneath each other's wings? What do you think is going to happen here, Dan? What are the chances we make it through turn 1 nice and clean here?
Look, the betting man in me says slim to none, but knowing the calibre of the drivers we got in the field, I reckon we'll get through relatively okay there. There might be a little bit of bump and run in the back of the field, but we'll wait to see on that one. But up front, it's going to all come down to when Gianni Luzzi wants to release the shackles on the 580 and get himself underway. I can guarantee you, though, Jack Widdis will be lined up right alongside looking for that jump there, and he is not going to make it easy for him.
They are really, really bunching up nice and tight. It's going to be a fantastic rolling start here.
Yeah, absolutely. The guys just in formation at the back of the field now. Pace car will start to slowly pick up a little bit more pace. And the other thing for the drivers here, obviously, you come out of pits, or when you jump onto the circuit in iRacing, you'll have the tyres nice and hot. They've had to go around a bit of a slow start, so the tyre temps might not be right where they want them on the opening lap, which could be tricky in these cars because they don't like a cold tyre, but see how they go. You can just see a little bit of the gamesmanship starting to come into it. We're not that far from getting this one underway, and the guys just trying to heat up the brakes there. You can see a little bit of work being done there. I think that's Tyson Broad just getting onto the brakes. We have a look off the bow of Guy Leach's car in third position there. He is right in the spot, ready to go. Pace car has pulled away, and the field will be back in control there with Gianni Luzzi, and we will be ready to get this one underway.
Absolutely. They are fully locked and loaded and ready to race here, Dan.
Pace car's in the lane, field forming up. Gian just sitting there, ready and waiting. We'll wait for the pounce here. So work their way up towards the start. Green flag is called. And the guys are off. It's a good start from everyone. They get underway there. A little bit of three-wide action. The run into turn one. We'll see how it all unfolds. Tyson Broad gets himself up. A little bit of a lock-up there for the guys. And have a look at Guy Leach. 4 positions through, up into turn one. Or turn two there, sorry.
Fantastic.
Got himself up into the lead.
That's a fantastic first turn from Guy Leach there. We've got somebody off in the weeds a little bit. He's keeping it together.
Gian Luzzi had a terrible start. Down 7 positions, a little bit more contact further back. Didn't see who that was that went around, but Luzzi has fallen well down the order there. Down 15, 16 spots. Justin McLean out in the weeds. That'll put him right to the back of the field. And it was a good jump through turn one there. Turn two got a little bit tardy for the guys. And we saw all the action unfold there down in turn 3. But up front at the moment, Guy Leach, round 4 positions into the lead of the race. Got Jack Widders right behind, Tyson Broad right in behind him. Maverick Benson up 2 spots. Chris Mitchell lost 1. And then Zach Wildsmith up 2 positions into 6. Ray Oliver there in 7th. Rob Christel, big gain for him, up 4 into 8th position. Paul Mansell down 2. And then a change for the lead on the way here as Leach manages to hold on to this one.
Big battle happening there between Leach and Widass at the front, and we've got another player who's entered the game as well. It's getting very argy-bargy. These guys are trying to make their statement in this series nice and early.
Sure is. Tyson Broad not going easily here. We've got a couple more cars off a little further down the field. They have managed to rejoin and get going. Leach around.
Big moment, huge
and there
moment.
Goes Broad. Broad's in it as well. And that was one of the talking points we spoke of, Hayden. The runoff turn 1, really tricky in any car you come through at Brands Hatch there. The road falls away. You've got the gravel on the outside. And unfortunately there for Leach, down into 5th position. We'll have a look at the replay to see how this one all unfolded. It's a nice run initially into the corner. Gets a little bit of the curb and then just loses the back.
Yeah, the pendulum got him and it got the driver behind him as well. It is very hard with the Porsches. When they go, they're gone.
Absolutely. It doesn't look like too much damage, so he should be able to keep going on here. Here's another look from Tyson's car. So Tyson had a bit of a moment mid-corner as well as Guy Leach went around also. So out of the cars that were involved in that, Tyson Broad got the worst of the damage handed out.
Absolutely. And we see Shane Newens in the kitty litter there a bit as well. And this is where we spoke about that strategy of that compulsory pit stop. All these guys who have had a pretty average start to this race will be starting to think, okay, is this a race where I get that pit stop out of the way and then I just absolutely try to make hay, get back up the field as far as I can and set myself up for race 2?
Look, it's probably not a bad idea. You just got to keep an eye on where you fall into the fray here. But we'll see how that goes. Back up front, change for 2nd position there with Chris Mitchell getting down the inside at Druids. It's a nice move for him, and he now claws his way up into 2nd position with Jack Widders now the firm target in 1st position. Guy Leach we still have that moment down through turn one, just a lap ago. He's in 5th position, but all over the back of the 989, Zach Watts-Smith, and should be looking to try and work his way through. Rob Crisdale right in behind as well, along with Paul Mansell there also. So some very seasoned competitors all starting to line up for that battle for 4th position.
And there's some very quick guys in places in this field where they wouldn't be used to being. And there'll be some guys in front of them seeing them in their rearview mirror and absolutely clenching themselves, because you do not want to see someone like Guy Leach behind you. And you do not want to see someone that qualified at the start of the grid underneath your wing either, Dan.
Not at all, as we've got Josh Drage here having a massive moment out of, where is that, turn 4, I think it is. We're going to have a look at the replay just to see what's happened here. So it's actually up at Hawthorn Bend, and how this one's all unfolded. A little bit of overlap on the run-in, and gets a bit of a light tap there.
I think he's had some help with that one, and that's some pretty serious looking damage there to Josh's car.
Yeah, it was the lightest of contacts. Here's the look back just to see how it unfolded there. And it was a little bit of a nudge on the way in. And then there's the bump right there that just unsettled the back end of that car, and around she goes. That's unfortunate for him. And look, I wouldn't mind betting, unfortunately, that's race 1 done for him.
It doesn't take much. You see it all the time. Just the smallest bump at the wrong time when the car is just not sitting in the right place for it, and you'll be looking at guardrail.
Absolutely. Back up to the sharp end of the field. The top 4 only separated by just over a second and a half there. Jack Widders, Chris Mitchell, and Maverick Benson having a look here at Paul Mansell all over the back. Actually, he's got Rob Crisdale in behind him there. So we're riding on board with Paul. It's Zach Watts-Smith just in front of him. And we've got another car off on the inside there, just avoiding all the circuitry coming through. The look back, actually, it's Crisdale that's in front. So change of position there for those two. And Guy now looking to get his nose back in front, down the inside.
He's gave him the old fakie there. He's letting him know he's there. He's letting him know to keep on his toes. Just classic pressure applying type driving. Just letting him know he's there, letting him know he's not going to stay there for very long.
Get back to pits. Do you want me to
Absolutely. Around the outside. Hopefully doesn't lose the back end of this car again. And he'll settle it down and set himself up for a run into 2. This is a good drive here, but see Mansell there just goes the inside defensive manoeuvre. And keep an eye there, Kevin Norman, right in behind these guys. He will be looking to get in and amongst it also.
Absolutely. When you got guys going tit for tat like they are, it's actually something great to watch from behind, because it just means they're wasting time fighting each other, and you can get closer and closer. And with some luck, you might be able to get into position, or they might tangle like that, and you can actually be the benefit of that.
Yeah, you might actually pick up 2 spots here if you can keep the momentum going. He's alongside Leach now, down in towards 5. And it's a
Leach
brave man to go.
Easy. He's not giving it up easy at all.
It's a brave man to go side by side with Leachy through there, but good job for it. He did lose a position though. We saw Rob Crisdale manage to get his way back through. Right in now in amongst this train though, we've got Josh Barry, Jacob Brewers in and amongst it, Dean Powell's in it, and Chris Mitchell from 2nd position. He's lost the back end of that car and finds himself plummeting down the order now.
And where does this leave the lead of the race? Who is leading and where are they at here, Dan?
Widders, 1.8 seconds clear, 1.9 seconds clear of the field now. So Jack can just settle in and just hit his marks and continue on. So he's got Maverick Benson now in 2nd position. Zach Watts-Smith we spoke about in 3rd position. Guy Leach now, as a result of that incident, promotes himself to 4th position. And Chris Mitchell there down in 6th at the moment.
And Jack would be absolutely cheering. He had a lot of competition there early on, but he's just managed to follow the golden rule of racing and keep it clean and keep himself out of trouble and just watch as everybody else sort of fell back.
Absolutely there. We just got a quick look at one of the cars just circulating back out of pit lane. I think that was Jacob Brewer getting his pit stop done and dusted for tonight's event. And as you can see up the top there, the little highlighted blue square denotes the drivers that have come through the pit lane, and that will become very critical when we get into race 2 tonight to understand where those drivers that have taken the tyre stops do filter in. And For anyone who doesn't take it at this point, Hayden, I think it's going to really be more beneficial to those guys early on to get those stops done, take away on the circuit while they can, and see if they can push themselves further forward.
Absolutely, Dan. So what is the transit time in the pit lane here? How much are they really buying themselves into race 2 by getting the pit stop out of the way now?
Yeah, look, it's a good question. So it's 36 seconds for the guys to get themselves down, and we're looking at around a 15.5-second stop for these drivers. So not very long. You don't have a lot of time to play with, but we'll work their way through that as we have a look at Gianni Luzzi working his way back through. Started on pole position tonight, had the incident in turn 2 there that saw him drop well down the field. Now in 14th position. Starting to apply the pressure there on Alex Butcher. That's a change into Druids. He gets the nose of that car through. So nice, clean done. And I did see too from Gianni, set the quickest lap of the race moments ago, 1:24.77 for him. So he has got a lot of pace in that car and continuing to work his way further up the field.
Absolutely. And the guys a bit down the grid, they're not making it impossible for him to get past. They know it's not worth sacrificing their race trying to keep up with one of the guys that's really, really fast. As we see, a penalty is going to be applied to Tyrone Anderson.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. So that'll be a drive-through for Tyrone. He won't be too happy about that one, but that will have been for contact lap 1. Here we go. Contact lap 1 with car 334 involved in that one. Just trying to pick up 334. That's Ash Barella, and that will see him with a drive-through on top of still potentially needing to make the stop in this race. So a bit of a double whammy there, unfortunately, for him. And he will need to come through the lane very quickly to sort that out.
We've got Powell and Son Powell here. Bit of a dice over the start-finish line. He's going to try for the move here up the inside. He's put his... he's got it done clean, but that was a pretty aggressive move there, Dan.
Yeah, it was. And that's a tricky one for turn 1 because, as we said, the corner falls away from you on entry. It's very bumpy on the way in. It's a late apex. It's tough to get that move done. It requires both drivers to be very smart about the racecraft and positioning the car there. And he got it done. It wasn't the cleanest of moves. I don't think it was the nicest one, but he pulled it up and neither driver had an issue there. So play on, and the guys will continue on. We're down to 10 minutes on the clock, mate. The first 15 minutes has flown by like no one's business early on as we keep watching the battles further down the field. Gian Luzzi just getting a move done there. That's on Dean Powell, the 21. Actually, Dylan Sykes, sorry, he's just got the move done there. That gets him up to 12th position. It's been a good recovery drive so far.
Absolutely, and he's really making the most of it. He's a lot of people with a setback like the start of this race for him would sort of be resting on their morals, but he knows his night's not over, and he's absolutely carving through this field just to try to make the best of it and to try to put himself in a great position to hopefully still get some chocolates at the end of this night.
Absolutely, and that's it. You got to be in it to win it, and this is the prime example of that. We might have a quick run up and down through the leaderboard just to get a look at how everyone's performing so far. Biggest movers of the night. Rich Barella up 15 positions for him. Matthew McMillan up 15 positions. Michael Gore, the Filthy Mo, gets himself up 13 positions. Still yet to make a pit stop, mind you, but has driven a relatively clean race so far. James Zeitz up 16 as well. A few of the big guys that have fallen further down the field, as we spoke about earlier. Gian Luzzi down 11, but still recovering his way through the field there. Jared Burns down 22. And Ray Oliver down 20 spots. We saw him involved in that lap 1, turn 2 incident also. So plenty of work for him to go. And Tyson Broad, I see him currently in 35th position. Just having a look there for him. So he has been down the lane and back out on circuit also. So a bit of a tough night for him in the Sim Rigs entry, but working his way back up through the field now. Plenty of cars in front for him to overtake.
Absolutely, and it starts to become a tale of two strategies here when you see guys like Brewer who are still placed relatively well in this race, have got their pit stop out of the way, and they're the guys that we're really going to have to watch come race 2 because they're going to, inadvertently find themselves right at the pointy end here, Dan.
Well, they will do, and I mean, we'll see them more towards the pointy end at the back of this race, possibly going into the next one as well. So we'll keep an eye on that. as the guys work their way through. Gianni Luzzi, again, continuing to go hammer and tong out there at the moment, just set a 24.51 in the Porsche. So he is on a charge working his way through as we see the guys a little 2 and 3 wide action through turn 3 there, up into turn 4. And for Tyson Broad there, nice move, gets himself through and up another position.
It's not quite done just yet, though. Josh Barry's not going to just lay down here. He's going to try to find another way past and make it for a difficult night.
He will do. Just playing it smart, though, finding the line and just starting to apply the pressure there. But he's going to have to keep an eye on the mirrors behind. He's got them starting to fill with the guys a little further back. But all in all, so far, good run from these guys. Now, out front, Jack Widdis. We haven't forgot about him. Out front, 2 seconds clear of the field at the moment. Maverick Benson up into second position. Zach Welp in third. Guy Leach back there in fourth position. Paul Mansell in fifth. So pretty solid top 5 at the moment, but they are starting to spread out quite a bit, Hayden.
Yeah, there's some solid gaps through there now. So the guys have sort of found where they're at. They've found where they are speed-wise with their competitors, and they're sort of settling in. But the battles are not over as we look a bit further down here with Mansell and Mitchell. Just 0.2 of a second between them as we see Mitchell right underneath Mansell's rear wing there in the Porsche.
Yeah, and I mean, even if you can just hang with Paul Mansell for a good few laps, it's a very good driver to learn the racecraft from, as we see a little bit of an incident. No further action for the incident between car 662, 580 and 50 on lap 1. So race control still reviewing the incidents from that early exchange. It's hard to believe we're nearly 20 minutes into that one, and they're going through the due diligence and checking everything out there. But this is a great little scrap between these guys over 5th position at the moment.
Absolutely. Every position counts when we're talking about a championship and we're talking about standings and we're talking about being in the running in 5 rounds' time. So it's all about making every point you can and not throwing a race away with 6 minutes to go.
Yeah, unfortunately, we did see Rob Crisdale just go off in the back of shot there, and he's found himself in the wall. So that's, I mean, you were just saying you can't chuck it away early on. Unfortunately for Rob, he's done just that.
Yeah, as we watch the replay here, and where exactly has it gone wrong here for Crisdale? Touch of grass, pendulum effect into the kitty litter just like that.
Then he's
followed
it up with a secondary moment. That was Tyson Broad that came through and clipped him also. So is there any damage on Tyson's car? We'll need to check that out as this one goes on. Looks all right at the moment. That
may be a case for the stewards, that one. Crisdale, he'd be frustrated. He'd be very frustrated. He's had a rough night, but that's hard to see.
Yeah, look, it's Racecraft 101. You've got to hold the brakes as much as you don't want to. You've got to hold the brakes there, and unfortunately there for Crisdale, just getting collected on the way through. So we'll see how race control adjudicate that one. Could be a potential penalty incoming as he's got a bit of damage there on the front. Broad still in and amongst it, a little further back down the field here. This is the battle for 8th position at the moment. We've got Lutzi involved in it, Powell, Swanpole, and Barry all scrapping over that. You can throw Broad in amongst it. And just running off a little wide. Who was that? That might have been the triple
Power,
nine. Power having a moment. And another car off. Same spot as Crisdale.
It's getting a bit scrappy towards the end here now. It's these guys, you're starting to see the frustrations come through. They're really trying to make the most of their situations. But you just can't be making mistakes like this because it is a long night. And your position now is critical to having a decent race number 2 down.
Absolutely it is. And we're 4 minutes left in what has been a great race 1 so far. The guys have just got to be clean, methodical, get the moves done nicely and work their way through. Pick up what you can. Don't overrun the cars as we see Howard just having a little bit of a moment there through 2. Keeping an eye on who have we got up here at the moment? I think that might be Kevin Norman just having a run through. Actually, it's the 1-9.
And there'll be a post-race review revolving car 56 Shane Newens on lap 3 incident there, as we see someone else disappear into the kitty litter as well, Dan.
Yeah, they're really starting to struggle here. The 39 just had a moment.
That's Michael Gore. He was at the pointy end of this field. He's got himself out of the way. That's what we want to see after an incident. And he's down there in 29th.
Yeah, and he was having a really strong run tonight too, just hitting the marks, doing what he needed to do. The Filthy Mo was looking good, and just had that little bit of an issue there. But he'll come back through and get himself going. The battle now for second position really starting to heat up between Benson and Walt Smith, and not much separating either of these two. Actually, sorry, it's Chris Mitchell and Paul Mansell. This is the battle for fifth position, Hayden. Apologies. 0.3 of a second for these guys.
Absolutely, and these guys have been having a bit of a crack for the last 5 or so laps now. They've been right underneath each other's wings for a while. They know each other's driving pretty well by now, and it's getting to that point where if you want to get something done, you've got 2 minutes and 30 seconds to make it happen, Dan.
Well, you do, but the hard part comes though, you do spend a lot of time driving this close together. You can almost anticipate the moves coming. It's got to be a quick, decisive one. You almost need to get up to the driver as fast as possible, make the moves, and get it done and dusted, because now he's awake to what's going on behind, and will continue just to place that car maybe half a meter off the ideal line, which then is going to make it very, very tricky to get your move completed. But this is a great scrap. 2 minutes left on the clock here, and 0.3 of a second, right? 0.3 of a second, sorry, separating the battle for fifth position right now.
Absolutely, and here at Brands, we've been talking about it all night, how you're always a millimetre between the perfect lap and an absolute disaster. So it really does have to be a picture-perfect move, and he can't see it coming, or he's just going to defend it away. So definitely would rather be the man in front than the man behind here, Dan.
Absolutely. I mean, you can just place the car where you need it to be and continue on. No further incident between 662 and 52. That's lap 4. So the guys continuing on as needed. Mansell there, again, down early to the apex of turn 2. Just shuts the door there on Mitchell and holding on to that position. It's a good run. And we haven't really spoken about it a lot, but it is the inaugural series for the dry season. And, I mean, what more could a driver want than to stick the name first on the trophy?
Absolutely. Everybody wants to be the first one to do that. It looks like Widow may well be in a great situation to be the person to do that. But all of these guys want that trophy at the end of this championship. They want to, even the guys that have had a bad start to the night here, Dan, they want to absolutely make the most of it, because it is a 5-round championship. You don't win or lose a championship on night 1.
Not at all, but you can definitely lose it rounds 2 and 3. So you got to be careful there and press on. Wittes is up in and amongst a little bit of traffic, just keeping an eye on him there. He should get himself across the line one more time. 30 seconds left on the clock here. And we'll see this come up to its final lap there. The white flag flying in the hands of the marshal as he gets across the line there. The gap, as it stands, 2.8 seconds over Maverick Benson and Zach Watt-Smith. So he's really cleared out, found what he needs in the car, and just pushing one. Just pulls out of that one, just holding on to the position there. The battle for fourth position still sitting thereabouts. The battle for fifth, though, still raging on. Half a second now separating Mansell and Mitchell. Keep an eye on that. A little further down the field, Lutzi and Norman still getting in and amongst it. And this is the scrap now for 13th position.
Lutzi has done a fantastic recovery here. Like, he has done a great job of getting back into the pointy end. I'm really impressed by that, Dan.
He has. He's done a great job. Considering where we saw that car on lap 1, he's come back through the field nicely. Does still have a pit stop in hand to complete coming into race 2, however.
And that's interesting. You know, I would have favoured getting the pit stop out of the way almost immediately after the incident and then going on the charge, because clearly he's got the pace through the pack and to give himself that advantage for race 2. But I'm not going to question the man's strategy, because clearly he knows what he's doing.
Absolutely. It's worked well for him. He's right in contention there. This battle, though, for 5th position has not fallen adrift at all. Mitchell right on the back there of Mansell. We'll keep an eye on that one. Crossing the line for race 1 winners is Jack Wittes there. Well-deserved, mate. Congratulations. Ahead of Maverick Benson there in 2nd, Will Smith in 3rd. Guy Leach holds on to 4th position. And the battle for 5th gets across the line there. Mansell will hold on to that one over Chris Mitchell. That was a solid scrap for both of those two guys there. A little further down the order, plenty of...
There's big drama here, big drama.
car off, just trying to see if we can pick up the number of that, but we'll go back and have a look at the replay of how all that unfolded, because that looked pretty disastrous.
Oh, that's a big one. That's not where you want to be parked at all. Right on the racing line. 911s everywhere. What a big incident, that one.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one for race control to sort out at the conclusion of this race there, but there's definitely going to be a few penalties handed out. And we've still got more incidents going on. The 999's gone around. That's big damage on that car also. And these guys are still trying to get themselves across the line to conclude the race at the moment. So it's all going on and not the way you want to start a first run in a fresh championship.
Absolutely. After the checkered flag's already dropped for the leaders, yeah, that's not a time when you want to be facing the wrong way at all.
We've got a little further back, these guys just getting across the line to complete their races. Nathan Norman had a bit of a night to remember, or to forget, down into 22nd position. He gets across the line now, but that was 14 positions lost for him, unfortunately. It looks like we've got everyone through now. So that was a pretty eventful race one. We'll have a look back through the results just to see where all the guys got across the line. Jack Whittis there takes round one honours, first position ahead of Maverick Bentz. Zach Watt-Smith gets himself home in third position. Guy Leach holds on to fourth position. Paul Mansell there in fifth. Chris Mitchell had a strong run there, just missed out on grabbing Mansell right at the checkered flag there, comes home in sixth. Giovanni Luzzi, we spoke about him plenty tonight already. He came right back through the field after falling well down the order early on. Nathan Norman there in 8th position. Josh Barry in 9th. 10th position, Jack Swanpole. Keep rolling down a little further there. Dylan Sainz in 4th. Alex Batcher there in 12th. James Zeitz in 13th. Matthew McCullen in 14th. Cameron Edwards 15th. Jacob Brewer there 16th. Shane Ewens, we saw him have some issues. Falls down the order down into 17th. Josh Drage, again, another driver, had a few issues along the way. In 18th, Ray Oliver 19th, John Bradshaw in 20th. 21st, Cooper Dunn, Nathan Norman there 22nd, Tim Nichols 23rd, Dylan Power in 24th, Bradley Minchell in 25th. Michael Akitas, probably not the best one he saw, down in 26th position there. Justin McLean in 27th. Tyson Broad 28th, Rob Crisdale all the way down in 29th position. Brendan McMullen there in 30th. Michael Thompson 31st. Richard Barella and 32nd gets ahead of Ash Barella in 33rd, Jared Burns in 34th. Neil Woodburn will start out at 35th for the next one. John Van Ree there, 36th. Peter Bianchi in 37th. Michael Gore, we saw him have a bit of a shocker right at the end there, down in 38th. And Tyrone Anderson, 12 laps down, unfortunately did not finish the last race. But it'll be a quick change around here, mate. We're into race 2. We saw plenty of drivers take the early stop there, Hayden. For the guys that need to come in, how quick do we imagine that they're going to be trying to look and get those knocked over?
Absolutely. So this is definitely where the strategy super comes into play. So Brewer, I believe, is the lead driver that's actually taken his pit stop. And he's starting from about 16th or 17th here and is, as far as I see it, really in the driver's seat. If he can hold together good laps and keep himself clean, he's going to be in a great position to win this race. But we're turning things around so fast that the guys really need to make the most of it. Get themselves reset, wash that off. It was a bad race for some of the guys. Crisdale, you mentioned he had a rough time there. So they just got to get their mindset right, reset, and think it through as the race develops. If things aren't going your way, maybe it's a great opportunity to take the early pit stop, get clear of the traffic, and find yourself on some decent laps to really start making the time without having to fight people every 10 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really good analysis there for the guys to be able to work their way through. As we watch the course car work its way around to bring us to the start of race 2, we'll quickly touch base on the series sponsors as that works its way through. So Shannons Insurance have come back on board. Great to have their support, as well as Roadrunner Constructions, taking care of all your asphalting and concreting needs. The Breaking Late podcast, again, good to have them back on board and looking forward to hearing their recap of round 1 here tonight. And SimSpeed TV for presenting all the fabulous pictures that we're seeing here so far tonight. It's been fantastic having them come on board and a great uplift in production that we're seeing here tonight. Working our way
fantastic looking images we have here. And always support your sponsors, guys. Get around them, help them out any way you can, and give them your business and support them. Because without those guys, it makes it an awful lot harder to go racing.
Definitely, and we'll just see here, Cam Edwards, the first of our guys that have come through the field in race 1 to take his pit stop there also. So will be interesting to see where he is able to work his way up through. Obviously, we know a lot of guys forward of him do need to come through the lane and take those pit stops. They've got just a shade on 20, well, probably 22 and a bit minutes to get that knocked over when we go green at the start of this one. And it's going to be a mad flurry of the guys trying to work their way through. Hopefully, we don't see a recap of what we saw race 1, lap 1, and the guys are able to filter their way through. The safety car has now pulled away, is in the lane, and Jack Widdis will have control of the field, keeping them nicely bunched up as they work their way through that final corner on to the start-finish straight. And we've got the guys 2 by 2 there, the 2 Cool Drive cars. Widdis and his teammate right alongside. The green flag drops. The guys are back
That's a
underway.
great launch from the 62 there, Dan. That's a great launch. He's pushed himself right up there into the battle. Oh, no.
Oh,
That's a big moment. That's a big
So that was
moment.
Mitch. And we've got a few other guys.
We have 911s facing every which way here, Dan. That's not a great start. The 62 got a fantastic launch there. He was looking great, but it's just all gone a bit sideways.
Oh, no. Edwards involved in that as well. He was our leading car that had made the pit stop in race 1 there. He's gone around down in turn 2 there. Hayden, sorry to cut you off, mate. And like you say, guys have gone everywhere in that one. And that's a lot of damaged vehicles early on. We were hoping that wasn't going to happen, but we've had the big one early on. Benson, as you say, got a great start, gets himself now up into first position. Widdis didn't quite get the jump that he needed. Mansell and Leach very lucky to get through there, as we saw Mitchell get turned around early on, and those guys now 3rd and 4th.
As we see Oliver in 10th there, that's a great place to be, considering he's already got his pit stop out of the way. That takes valuable time, so he's in a real driving seat of this entire race here, Dan.
Absolutely. He's got himself set up very nicely there. Brewer and Power also in and amongst that. And for any of the viewers tuning in who may not have been there at the beginning of the race, if you do see a little blue box alongside the driver there, denotes they have taken their pit stop. As we see James Zeitz in the fence also, hunting down his Makita. And that's an unfortunate one for him. That'll drop him well down the order.
As we see a change for the lead here, Widdis has got the job done back here again. And this is all good for Oliver. He wants to see scraps at the front here, Dan, because the more that front pack actually bounces back and takes its time, the more the advantage he has of completing his pit stop comes into play.
Absolutely, and we'll see him work his way through. Now, with all the incidents that we saw early on, plenty of drivers have come through the lane. We've had Chris Mitchell in there, Cooper Dunn, John Brayshaw, Josh Barry, Dylan Saints, Jamie Zeitz, as we saw just a moment ago, Michael Akitis in there also, and Justin McLean. So plenty of damage 992s early on here. And we've got 3 Cool Drive cars just lining up to have a look here at Widdis. And actually, we've just had Gianni Lizzi pull himself through as well. He's gained 3 spots from the start of the race, gets himself now into 4th position, and sets his eyes firmly on the back of Paul Mansell's 992. And
he's a guy that, I wouldn't want to be in front of him, to be honest with you. He's got raw pace, better than probably anyone else in the field. We've seen him set a 3/10 quicker qualifying lap than anybody else on the last flyer that he took. He's not the man you want to see in your rearview mirror, Dan.
Not at all, but being quick is one thing. Getting the move done clean and concise is another. And, I mean, we've already seen a few guys just at the start of this one make a little bit of a meal of that one. So we need to keep an eye on this, because he's right, as I say, up the pointy end and challenging some very seasoned competitors. Paul Mansell will not make this run easy for him. Jack Widdis, first flying lap, sets himself a 1:25.23. We saw that get down to a 1:24.7, I think it was, in the first race. So a little bit off that pace at the moment, but the tyre's still coming up to pressure and temperature, and we'll see those times absolutely start to come further down. There is a spinner a little further down the field, and they're back underway also. So no harm, no foul from those guys. But the fight, mate, right up the front of the field.
And this is the second race that's going on. These are the guys that have pitted, Dan. Oliver, Brewer, They're 8th, 9th, and I believe 10th is in the mix as well that have pitted power there, all within a few tenths of each other, all realistically battling for the lead of this race. Because when those leaders come in, these are the guys we're going to be watching.
Yeah, definitely. And we got a slow car off on the side, just holding out in the gravel. So keep an eye on that one. And another guy just gone around. Who's that? That's Walt Smith has had a moment. He's down in 11th. And Bradley Minchell was that slow car off, and he's down in 25th position. So Minchell just got to wait for the field to cycle its way through. That's not a great spot to be in.
As we look at our virtual racing school instant replay here, that's just, I'm not sure what's happened there, but that's an interesting little off.
Well, it looks like he's just picked up the grass on the outside as he floats the car through there, and around she's gone into the Armco barrier, and does a good job just to hold that car around and wait to get it done. And we'll see him drop in the lane now to complete that pit stop. So bit of a bad run there for him, and that'll give him a lot of work to try and get some points out of this one tonight. We have also had a change for, Maverick Bent's still sitting in second position at the moment. He's just set the quickest lap, 1:24.75. So he is all over it. And Gianni Luzzi now right on the back of Paul Mansell. That gap down to 4/10, just over a tenth of a second between them as they work their way through the back section of the circuit, not giving an inch between either driver.
Absolutely not. And you can see that there's also Oliver and Brewer back there, just over a second between those guys. Power just over a second behind them as well. So it really is a tale of two races. We've got this top four that are well and truly in contention. If they can lap quick enough, they can still be in the driver's seat come the end of the race, Dan.
Absolutely, they can be. And we're already seeing very quick pace from these guys. The top four at the moment, the only drivers that we can see inside a 125 lap pace as well. So definitely got a little bit of extra speed in the books. Luzzi just sets another fastest lap, 24.73. So still got plenty of pace in that Porsche there. And a little further back, who's that? That's Nathan Norman we're having, or actually Kevin Norman, sorry, in sixth position. Get the look at the driver behind the wheel there. You can see the bit of a lean, just helping the car roll through the corner there. But he's doing a really solid job up in sixth, 2 spots gain. Does have a pit stop to get through, however.
Absolutely. The focus of Kevin Norman there is all on. He can see himself closing in on this car in front. Watch him as he makes the move here. We'll stay on board with him.
He gets that one done nice and easy. Driver just pulls to the side, lets him flow through. We have a look back at our leading two. Absolutely nothing separating Jack Wittes and Maverick Benson. Those guys continuing on. Post-race incident involving the 82, the 41 and the 3, reviewed after the conclusion of this race. So no doubt we'll hear about that one come through in the podcasts once that all gets determined by race control. But the top two, mate, really starting to get on with business here. They've got themselves a nice little bit of a gap, 0.6 of a second over Mansell and Luzzi, and just starting to ease away slightly. Absolutely.
So we've got a great battle happening for first and also a great battle happening for third. And we're actually quite lucky. We can see them both on one camera at the same time. As we look a bit further down the field here, there's a lot of action happening as well, Dan.
There is. We've got the guys well down the order. It's 12th position. Ash Barella in and amongst this one as well. Nathan Norman, Thompson and Edwards. We saw Edwards have that moment on lap 1, so he's working his way back through the field nicely. And
Ray Oliver, that's our leading pitted car, I believe, that's in a bit of trouble there, Dan.
Yeah, we'll have a look at that one, see what happened. And it is the 99. It is Ray Oliver, actually. He's come across Norman, who's had a moment, and then Norman's just clipped the side of the car there. A little bit of net code. But to Norman's credit, he's waited to redress that incident and allows Ray Oliver to get back in front. That's great sportsmanship there.
Honourable racing. That is honourable racing. He's tipped his hat. He said, "My bad, mate. Way you go."
Absolutely. No, hats off to him. Phenomenal job there. We've still got the guys up front, still yet to come down the lane to make those pit stops. 13 and a half minutes remaining on the clock. And these two battles really starting to heat up. Lutzi, 0.2 of a second off the back of Mansell, and looks to stick the nose in, just thinks about it, pulls out of that one and settles into spot. Wittes and Benson still going at it. And the move here could be on. And it's a late cross there from Mansell just to get the Porsche across the nose there of Lutzi. I'm sure Lutzi's not going to take too kindly to that.
Absolutely, and all four of these guys have to pit, and they don't have to pit at the same time, Dan. It's interesting that no one's called the early bluff to go in and try to get themselves some clean air, but with that many Porsches sitting behind them, clean air is hard to find at Brands Hatch.
Well, it is, and now for Lutzi, he's on the outside, heading up towards turn 5. It's not going to be an easy one to run through, but he's got the momentum there.
Brave. That is very brave, but he's been held out. This is incredibly close racing here, Dan. Absolutely, Gianni Luzzi is onto it.
Yeah, look, I don't know that I'd be doing that, given how great Australian internet connection is for those who are familiar with it. But, mate, that is some cracking racing from these guys. Mind you, they're still scrapping over the 3rd position at the moment. Pit stop still to come into play. 12 minutes remaining in this one, and 1 pit stop to sort out here. Who's going to be the first to blink? Wittes is blinked. He's in the lane. That hands over the lead of the race to Maverick Benson. I can guarantee you Benson will be looking to probably come back in next time by just to cover off any advantage of those two fresh tyres.
Absolutely. So it's actually interesting to see Wittes the first to pull in there. So it does put all these guys in an interesting situation because no one's going to want to put himself at any disadvantage, wasting time in battles or anything like that. They all need to pit. Everybody knows where everybody's at. So these next 11 and a half minutes are really going to tell us a lot.
They will do. And let's have a look at the timing and scoring. So we know Ray Oliver has already come through. Same with Dean Power. Those guys came through early on, and they are well up the order there. For Jack Wittes, returning out after his pit stop, finds himself in 13th position. So gone from the lead of the race down to 13th. A lot of work to do. Actually, apologies. It's Jacob Brewer, the first of our leading drivers here. He's only 10 seconds off the pace at the moment. We could be seeing a change of the lead here.
Absolutely. Brewer's in the driving seat here. We said from the start of this race that he could be one to watch. And, you know, with Wittes a good 18 seconds behind, with just 10 minutes of racing left to go, it's going to take a real effort for the guys that are currently in the lead to end up anywhere near the pointy end here, Dan.
Definitely. They're really going to need to get on. And while we see the scrap continuing the way it is, it does tend to hurt the speed advantage. And both Benson now and Lutzi in the lane to get those stops done. Now, we'll talk about the speed dropping off. We've seen Lutzi go from what was a 24.6, I think we saw him get down to, actually 24.7 for his best lap. Last time through for him was a 25.4, so a second lost just in battling with the likes of Mansell there. So you've got to wonder, was it maybe a fraction too late to have blinked and got that pit stop done? As we see Cam Edwards just off up the field there. He's going to go to the side. We're going to be 3 wide across the line into turn 1.
Wittes is on the deep inside.
Sends one in there, gets the move done nicely. Good job to him. And just in behind these guys, Maverick Benson has come back out into the field as well. So Benson finds himself again right behind Wittes, and he's got Ash Barella in front. Lutzi in the lane, 52 seconds. This is diabolical for him. He's going to go well down the order after this, so there's something gone on wrong for him.
Yeah, that's not good for him. He's fought really hard all night, and to be sitting there stationary is, you hate to see it. You really do.
Yeah, so that was a 55-second stationary pit stop time for him. That has crushed any chance of a decent race result. Now back in 25th position for, actually 27th position for Gianni. So he has lost a mammoth amount of time there. I'd love to know what's unfolded for him, unfortunately. He's got a lot of work to do with 8 minutes left on the clock here now.
Absolutely. And we see this starting to play into the hands of the guys that followed that strategy of getting the first pit stop out of the way in the first race and still finishing strong enough. I mentioned at the time that I thought that was a strategy Lutzi would have taken. I was surprised he didn't go that way, Dan. Do you think he'd be a bit better off had he chosen to go that road?
Hindsight's a wonderful thing. I would definitely say yes. But as the racing driver in me, I know you've got to think about those things, but you don't tend to think about them at the time. And then you'll be kicking yourself later on that you didn't think about it. So, look, yes, he should have come in earlier. Unfortunately, he didn't play that way through. And look, if he had come in earlier, it might not have led to that 55-second pit stop time. Unfortunately, we just don't know. It could have been something else that was involved, some repairs that needed to be done. I'd love to find out, as I say, at the conclusion of this one. But we're having a look back a little further in the field here. Michael Gore is in it. Actually, is that Gore? Yes, it is. And Ash Barella, the battle for 12th position. These guys have made their pit stops as well, moving themselves nicely up through the early 21 and 25 spots gained, respectively. And a good haul of points coming their way if they can get these cars across the line.
Absolutely. They're doing a fantastic job, the guys here. Everybody, actually, this has been a really clean race, Dan. We've seen a lot of dramas in race one. Everybody's sort of settled into their groove in the 911 now. They seem comfortable in the cars. They seem to be behaving themselves and keeping it on the black stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And Guy Leach now just ducks in the lane to get his service job completed. That will leave Paul Mansell, the last of our front-running drivers, to get his pit stop done and dusted. So he's going long here, 25.9 for him last time by. Brewer, by comparison, 26 flat for him. So a little bit of a time gain. Jack Wittes, back in 8th position at the moment, just set a 24.7. Quickest driver out on circuit at the moment. Down in 8th position, a couple of spots potentially for him to be able to gain. And just in front of him, Nathan Norman, who's not going to be an easy competitor to get through.
Absolutely not. And Wittes, if he can keep it tidy, he's definitely positioned well at the end of this race. He took the chocolates home in the first race. He's worked his way back up to about 6th, I think it is, at the moment here in race 2. And points-wise, that does tend well. And Wittes will be likely looking at a championship leader by the end of the night.
For sure, but you got to keep it on the black stuff. And at the moment, doing a very solid job to do so. The battle for 4th position really starting to heat up between Ray Oliver and Jared Burns. Oliver thinks about sending one up the inside. Just backs out of that one, but he's going to get the overrun here.
Absolutely, as I look at, he's got the job done. But it's some great racing happening here.
Really strong drive from both of these two. If anything, Burns just a fraction ahead, but Oliver's going to have the pace coming through. A little bit of a minor drop out there for him, but to go the long way around turn 1 doesn't tend to bode too well, but he's going to set himself up for a run here through turn 2. We'll keep an eye on that as Mansell now gets down and away from his final pit stop. That brings him back in 9th position. So he did get a positional gain ahead of Guy Leach, but not quite on the likes of Wittes, as well as Wittes now gets a move done there on Nathan Norman, gets one through turn 2. Nicely done. This battle, though, between Oliver and Burns still going on. Oliver's got through, gets himself onto the podium at the moment, currently sitting 3rd.
Absolutely, but it's not a time to be planning a podium speech or shining an imaginary trophy here. He's got a lot of work to go for this 5 minutes we have remaining here, Dan. The race is not over.
No, not at all. And looks like he's having a few little network dropouts as well. That'll be unsettling for the guys behind. And hopefully we don't see any issues go on, touch wood, for him. So we'll keep an eye on that one as it unfolds and have a look up and down the field to see how everyone's going. I think it's Sean Newens we're having a look at. Started 17th, down in 24th. And here's the last of our drivers out on field, yet to make a pit stop tonight. 4.5 minutes on the clock. And, it hasn't quite worked for him, Hayden, but he will need to come in the lane here and still service that penalty. The pit stop, sorry, not penalty.
Absolutely. And you've got to think, people will be looking at what Brewer's done this race at this round and how he actually just played it smart in the first race, got the pit stop out of the way, but still got a good position to set himself up for the really good spot into the second race. It'll be interesting to see how drivers adapt their strategies as the season goes on here. It
certainly will. I think it'll change circuit to circuit. I think when we get onto the likes of Montreal, there'll definitely be some different strategies because obviously you've got some very long straights there, some very technical chicanes to work your way through, and I'm sure we'll see the drivers pick and choose when they want to make the most out of those stops. The big one for me will come in that final round when we head to Belle Isle, the street circuit, getting the pit stops in and done critically, a circuit too where you've got no room for error. It could come down to the wire, so we'll need to keep an eye on that. As just going to have a look here at a quick replay. see who is this. This might be Jack Widders getting a move done there. So this is going to move him up into 5th position, I believe. So started first, down in 5th at the moment. Oh,
That's hairy. That's very hairy.
there was contact, I think.
That
Just
might be
fraction.
something for the review guys to have a bit of a look at there, because that looked hairy.
Yeah, let's have another look just from a different angle, see how that one unfolded, because he came in with a head of steam and it was the slightest of contact there. And for Neil Woodburn, he did a great job just to keep that car on the circuit. Let's have a look off the back of the Porsche 992. Widders with a head of steam in, just taps the rear end, and Woodburn's able to keep it on the black stuff and holds on to that position. But, gee, there wasn't much in it.
I think Widders needs to be counting his lucky chickens that's how that developed, because if that car had flown off into the gravel trap, he'd be looking at some trouble with the stewards, and that would be affecting what's been a fantastic race night for him.
Certainly would. Definitely a Code Brown moment right there. We're going to have a look just back at another incident. This is Ash Barella down through turn 1. We'll have a look at what's happened here. And gets a little bit of contact. I think that's a bit of net code there, unfortunately, for him. And that's rotated him around there on 2. And he is going to continue on there. So that's unfortunate for him, because he was having a nice solid run there. But we will wait to see. Back up the sharp end, we've got Jacob Brewer out in front, 2-second advantage over Dean Powell, and Ray Oliver still holding on to 3rd position, another 2 seconds further back. Great drive from the top 3 at the moment. Jack Widders is coming, however. He's not that far off the back of these guys and setting very quick times to boot down there in 4th position. He's got a bit over 3 seconds to get up, or 2 seconds, sorry, to get up onto the back of Ray Oliver. So we potentially could see Hayden, Jack Widders, get himself on the podium at the end of this round.
He's absolutely trying. He's giving it every single millimetre here. It's very interesting to watch these different strategies really play out. So we've got the guys like Brewer, Powell, who had a pretty bad incident, I seem to remember, in race 1. Who's now sitting 2nd on the podium through playing a good strategy there and really making the most of it. But then you see guys like Widders that just have the raw pace and has managed to keep it clean the whole way through. Now looking like he might be able to grab another decent result here with a 3rd place.
Yeah, definitely. We've got 25 seconds left on the clock as our leaders work their way towards the start-finish line. We may just squeak in a final one coming around the final corner here. 15, 16, I think, yeah, we go white flag. So one last chance here. And for Jack Widders, that is one last chance that he needs in order to get himself up on the podium. So this needs to be a cracking lap for him to work his way through.
If anybody can do it, it's probably this guy. So let's watch him through here. It's going to be interesting to see just what the real-time gap is and just what he's capable of pulling off in this last lap.
Absolutely. I'm just looking back here at the moment. We've got a gap. Actually, it's 4.5 seconds. So it's a big ask for him to work his way through in order to get there. But he's definitely taking some time out of Oliver. So it's down to 4.6 as they work their way up. And we've got one around. Who's that that's gone around? Neil Woodburn has dropped it. And that sets him a little bit further back now.
As we watch the replay here. What's exactly's gone down here? Let's watch this one back.
Back up into turn 2 here. Norman gets in tight on him, and it looks like just getting the power down gets away from him. That's an unfortunate one. That's now dropped him right down the order, outside the top 10 into 11th position, unfortunately, for Neil there. So it was looking like a very strong run for him. Unfortunately, we'll go further back, but getting a round win or race win in round 1. Jacob Brewer going to come across the line first. Great strategy for him just to lead his teammate over the line. Then we've got Dean Powell coming across the line in 2nd position. So the 25-999 doing a very good job there. Ray Oliver across the line in 3rd. Jack Widders gets home in 4th position. Nathan Norman will bring his car home a little bit battered and bruised into 5th. Paul Mansell will get across the line there in... Actually, it's Maverick Benson in 5th, Paul Mansell 6th, Guy Leach 8th tonight, Jared Burns, Cameron Edwards across the line, Neil Byrne, Michael Gore he's going to get his car across the line just in the top 15 there. And a very strong drive from him tonight, up from 38th into 15. Well done for him. The rest of the field still cycling their way through. But, mate, that was a cracking first round for the Shannons Dry Series. And I think we're in for some big things to come with the remaining 4 rounds.
Absolutely. A lot of guys had a pretty rough night out there. A lot of guys have a lot to prove, and a lot of guys made some statements. So it's going to be interesting seeing things from Gutsy here as the series progresses. I think there's a lot of talent there, and I think he just had a really rough run of it. The man can throw down a lap, and the man can drive clean. We've seen that. So when things actually start to fall in his favour, he's definitely going to be in a position to challenge those front runners.
Yeah, certainly will be. And I think, too, now having a 2-week break between here and Montreal will be a really good challenge for the guys to start getting the laps in, get the practice honed, work out where they can and can't place those cars, and coming into that round in a fortnight's time, we'll be on for some good results. But as we check out the results from race 2 tonight, Jacob Brewer gets the top step there ahead of Dean Powell. Ray Oliver in 3rd position. Jack Wittes comes home 4th tonight. Nathan Norman across the line in 5th. Maverick Benson home in 6th. Paul Mansell leads Guy Leach for 7th and 8th position. Jared Burns gets home in 9th. Cam Edwards across the line in 10th position. Cycling our way further down, Neil Woodburn in 11th. Chris Mitchell home in 12th. Jack Swainport in 13th. Michael Thompson comes home in 14th. Mike Gore gets himself home in 15th tonight. John Bradshaw in 16th. John Van Ree comes home 17th. Cooper Dunn in 18th, along with Dylan Sainz there in 19th. Zach Smith in 20th position. We saw him have a bit of an unfortunate moment earlier on in the race. Brendan McMullen will come home 21st. Rich Barella in 22nd. Shane Newens comes home 23rd. Matthew McMullen in 24th. Michael Akitis in 25th tonight. Tim Nichols gets home in 26th. Kevin Norman, the last of our lead lap drivers, home in 27th position. And then we've got Alex Butcher in 28th. Rob Crisdale there in 29th position. Justin McLean in 30th. Peter Bianchi in 31st position. James Seitz there in 32nd. Ash Barella, first of our 3 lap down in 33rd. Gianni Luzzi, we didn't see what happened to him right at the back end of that race there, but he fell down the order into 34th position. Bradley Mitchell comes home in 35th. Tyson Broad in 36th. Josh Barry in 37th. Josh Drage gets home 38th tonight. And Tyrone Anderson, unfortunately for him, did not get home at the back end of that race there. Will finish out in 39th position. And Hayden. All right, and Hayden, looks like we've got our race winners starting to come in, and we might pull the Jack Wittes in there, race 1 round winner. Race 1 round 1 winner, the first driver to pick up the series points there, and we'll have a chat to him.
We might get back to that one in just a second, I suppose, Dan.
We might need to. We're just having a bit of trouble pulling in the guys here. We'll get that sorted quickly. And while we just sort that out, Hayden, just from yourself, mate, first time in the series, talk us through your experience tonight. Round 1, great result.
Absolutely. Some fantastic racing. We saw a lot of good jostling there and a lot of good results from guys. We've seen guys that showed a lot of raw talent and just had a lot of bad luck. So guys like Crisdale and Nutsu, we're looking for round 2 to tidy things up. But it looks like we've got someone joining us here, Dan.
Certainly do. Jack Wittes joining us in the broadcast booth at the moment. Jack, congratulations, mate. A cracking race 1 run in the Porsche 992. You've picked up exactly where you left off in the NTE Super Series. Talk us through your run tonight. It was very good for you.
Yeah, it was mega. It was heaps of fun up the front there, lots of clean racing. So, yeah, it was good.
And it looked like you didn't have it all your own way. We saw Gianni Luzzi right up there in race 1 going for you. You had the likes of Guy Leach, Paul Mansell also around you. Going into this one, what was your sort of expectations? Were you expecting to see the challenges from those guys?
Yeah, no, I don't think you can discount anyone in this. There's always a lot of talent in these races, and yeah, I was just trying to keep it as clean as I could and get some points.
Absolutely, and talk us through the strategy. What was the thought plan going into this one? Obviously, a slightly different tweak to the rule change this season. We've got the one compulsory pit stop, the 2 tyres that need to go on in either race 1 or race 2 of the round. What were your thoughts going into this one? Were you thinking race 2 is where I need to get it done, or was it something you were considering maybe knocking over in race 1?
Yeah, it was kind of going to depend on how the race panned out at the start. Like if I had a clean run and I was in the lead, I was obviously going to grab the points when I could. But yeah, second race, I was just kind of waiting a bit for the field to spread out a bit before I took my pit stop, and seemed to work out pretty well.
Yeah, well,
We seen you were the first one to pull the trigger on that, Jack. What made you go in first rather than letting someone else pull the pin there?
I wanted to make the most out of the 2 green tyres, so I thought like we're about halfway through, so at least I have some fresh tyres for the rest of the race.
we turn our attention.
Definitely something that played into your hands there, because you really carved back through the field towards the end there as well, Jack.
Yeah, it had pretty good pace there with those green tyres, so it gave me a little bit of an advantage when I was coming through.
And Jack, turning our attention forward, fortnight's time, round 2, races 3 and 4, we're off to Montreal. Bit of a different circuit to what we've seen here tonight at Brands Hatch. Firstly, what are your thoughts on Montreal, and how do you think the 992 is going to go around there?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I haven't done any laps there in this car yet, but I think keeping it off the curbs is going to be key. But yeah, it's definitely a fun, tight little twisty track with a couple of long straights and a few good overtaking spots. So yeah, it should be good racing.
Yeah, definitely. I think it'll be a really good one to keep an eye on, mate. And before we let you go, is there anyone you need to give a shout out and thanks to tonight?
Thanks to Zach for doing my livery up. He's done a good job with that. And yeah, thanks to you guys for putting this all on.
Well, Jack, mate, you get the honours of taking out round 1, race 1 of the NTE Dry Series tonight. So congratulations on that. A hard-fought fight back through after the pit stop, get you home in 4th in race 2, but very strong points going through the start of the season. And we'll look forward to seeing you back on circuit in a fortnight's time at Montreal.
Oh, thanks, boys.
It looks like we get our next entry in here. We've got Jacob Brew in here, and Hayden, I'll let you take it away, mate.
Yeah, so great result there, Jacob. Congratulations on winning race 2 there. What was your thoughts going into race 2?
My thoughts were just to try and keep it clean and just see what happened at the end, to be honest, because I didn't know who had pitted before in front of me. So I just thought, just keep it clean, try and make it to the finish, and whatever happens will happen.
And it's a strategy that worked well for you and also for our winner there in Jack. So points-wise, is this about where you were hoping to end up by the end of the round here, Jacob? Like, you can't be sneezing at a race win and a 16th, I suppose.
No, it's definitely exceeded my expectations for today. So it was my first race with the Black Hawk Motorsport boys. So I better get their sponsors in, or our sponsors in, before they yell at me. So just quickly, thanks to West Orange Motors, JB Racing Designs, True Seal, Cooper's Custom Fabrication, and Dynamic Wall and Floor Tiling. But no, it definitely has exceeded the expectations for the first round.
And Jacob, talk us through the run tonight. Obviously, we saw you take the pit stop early race 1, which put you a little bit further down through the field, getting into race 2 there. What was your thought going through when we saw the cars starting to scatter there at the end of lap 1?
Well, my thought for the first race was there was a bit of a group forming in front of me. So I thought if I can get in before any of them do, if they decide to pit, I should be able to jump them. So that's kind of what I thought. And then when I saw the cars start scattering race 1, I was just making sure I tried not to hit anyone. I just wanted to get through clean and get out the other side.
No, you did very well on placing the car. It looks like Dean Powell also had another strong run for him as well. You guys worked your way nicely through the field in race 2. We just asked Jack his thoughts on round 2. Obviously head off to Montreal. Very different circuit to what we've seen here tonight. A lot more fast and flat. And I'll put the same questions to you as I put to him. One, what are your thoughts on Montreal, and how do you think you're going to fare there in the 992?
Like Montreal as a track and how I go, well, hopefully it's the same sort of thing. I think I'll try and keep the same strategy of just getting through the races clean, trying to pit in the right race. I think that's fairly important to try and get a race win, and just we'll see how we go.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Well, look, all the best going forward. We've got a fortnight break now between this and the next round in Montreal, so hopefully plenty of time to get some practice in and make sure you dialed in with the car. But it was a great drive from yourself tonight. We've got the results up there. 16th in race 1, getting yourself the race win in race 2, so that will bode very well for the points to begin the championship, mate. But congratulations on the drive tonight.
Cheers. Thanks very much.
And Hayden, we'll look forward to round 2 here. You can see up on the screen will be the 26th of June. We'll head off to Montreal. And as we say, very different circuit to what we've seen here tonight. A lot more flat, very flowing, very GP style circuit layout. But the drivers are going to be in for a very unique challenge. They're very fast pit entry, which will, and it's right on the braking line. That'll be tough for the guys to navigate their way through.
Yeah, we spoke about the pit entry here, but it didn't really come to pass to be an issue. So these guys are obviously pretty high caliber and they know what they're doing, but it's going to be a real challenge there dealing with that fast pit entry, but also dealing with a completely different circuit for these 911s and trying to come to grips with that again. And it's going to be, like I said, we've mentioned a couple of guys that have the raw pace but just did not have the luck with them tonight. So it's going to be great to see just how they go at a different circuit, give them a couple of weeks to sort of get their head right and have another crack then.
Absolutely, yeah, and cannot say any more than that. I'm looking forward to seeing what the guys can come with. Again, thank you very much to the series sponsors for helping put this one on: Shannons Insurance, Roadrunner Construction, and the Breaking Late podcast, and along with SimSpeed Esports TV for bringing on all the fantastic imagery that we've seen here tonight. We'll leave you for what has been a great race 1 and 2 of round 1 of the NTE Dry Series Cup, and look forward to catching up with you again for round 2 in a fortnight's time. For Hayden, man, Jay Kennedy, and myself, thanks very much, and we'll see you next time.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rid of the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my god! Oh, big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, here we go. Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?